Good morning, children. Children, today we will discuss the remaining part of the chapter, the Delhi Sultanate. So let us start. Children, in the last module, we have discussed about Muhammad Ghori and about Ghurid dynasty also. Okay. We have discussed that the 5 dynasties of the Delhi Sultanate were what? The Mamluk, Khilji, Tughlaq dynasty, Sayyid dynasty and the Lodi dynasty. Okay. Mamluk or the slave dynasty, the ruling period for this dynasty was what? 1206 AD till 1290 AD. The Mamluk dynasty. What we have discussed? Qutbuddin Aibak is known in history as the founder of the slave dynasty, and it is believed that the dynasty derives its name from Qutbuddin, who was originally a slave. Because of him, the title slave is being given to this dynasty. But it is also true that before accession, Qutbuddin had received the letter of manumission from his master. Who was his master? Muhammad Ghori, and came to accession as an independent ruler. When Muhammad Ghori died in 1206 AD, he left no male heir to succeed him. So it was the desire of Muhammad Ghori that Qutbuddin succeeded him, and his formal accession took place on 24th June 1206. Now today we will discuss about whom? Iltutmish. Okay. As you know, Aibak ruled for only 4 years. The territories won by him were like the loose units of a fledgling empires. Therefore, when Iltutmish became Sultan, he faced rebellions by the Turkish nobles and the Rajput chiefs. However, Iltutmish succeeded in subduing all his enemies. He brought the entire North India under his control. Iltutmish also saved his empire from Mongol attacks by refusing to give shelter to Jalauddin, the Shah of Persia. We will talk about him also later, who was fleeing from the dreaded Mongol invader Genghis Khan. Due to his success in consolidating his position and in expanding the Delhi Sultanate, Iltutmish is considered as the real founder of the Turkish rule in India. He ruled for 25 years. He was an able administrator. He divided his empire into several provinces called Iktas. The Iktas means what, children? The Iktas were administered by nobles and or officers called Iktadar. They collected land revenue and maintained law and order in the Iktas. Iltutmish introduced new currency in the form of silver coins called tankas and copper coins called jitals. He also completed the construction of Qutub Minar. Iltutmish did not consider his son capable of ruling the Sultanate after his death. So he named his daughter Rajia as his successor. But the Turkish nobles were not in favor of a female ruler. So after Iltutmish's death, they put the reign of the Sultanate in the hands of his eldest son, Rukn-ud-Din Firoz Shah. However, Rukn-ud-Din proved an incapable ruler and was deposed by Rajia. You can see the picture on the screen. This is the picture of Iltutmish. And this is the image of Rajia Sultana, daughter of Iltutmish. She was the first female ruler. Okay. Rajia was the first female ruler in the Muslim world. Her throne name was Jalalat-ud-Din Razia. She was a good administrator and a brave fighter who led her army in many battles. But she could rule for only 4 years, as the nobles had conspired to depose her. They were angry because Rajia had stopped consulting them before taking major decisions. She favored a slave named Yaqut, which annoyed her nobles. They revolted against her and she was deposed. Later on, Rajia and her husband Altunia were killed by the forces of the nobles. Now, we will talk about Ghiyasuddin Balban. Okay. He was the most powerful ruler of slave dynasty. In the 6 years following Razia's death, many rulers ascended the throne of Delhi for short periods till Razia's youngest brother Nasiruddin Mahmud was chosen by some nobles as the Sultan. However, Mahmud did not have the qualities of a capable and assertive ruler, so his minister and father-in-law Ghiyasuddin Balban ruled on his behalf for 20 years. After the death of Mahmud, Balban ascended the throne and ruled for another 20 years. Under his rule, peace, stability and security reigned in the Delhi Sultanate. Agriculture, trade and industry all prospered and flourished. Okay? Balban also believed in what? In the divine right of the king. That is why he also adopted what? The Persian custom of Sizda and died in 1286 AD. Now after that, which dynasty came into existence? Khilji dynasty. Okay. So now we will talk about Khilji dynasty. First of all, we will talk about Jalaluddin Khilji. Okay. The reign of the Khilji dynasty began in 1290 AD with the accession on the Sultanate throne of the first Khilji Sultan Jalaluddin Khilji, who killed Balban's grandson Kakubad, the last ruler of the slave dynasty. The Khilji rule lasted for only 30 years. Jalaluddin, an old man of 70, was very accommodating in nature. He compromised with the rebellious nobles by forgiving them for their revolts. He also tried to ward off the Mongol threat by marrying his daughter to Ulugh Khan, a Mongol leader. These actions presented Jalaluddin as a weak ruler. Now we will talk, see, this is the picture of Alauddin Khilji. Now we will discuss about him. Who was Alauddin Khilji? He became the Sultan of the Delhi Sultanate in 1296 AD. Alauddin was an ambitious ruler who wanted to build a huge empire. He is regarded as a good administrator and an accomplished general. Let us know about various steps taken by Alauddin to strengthen his position and expand his empire. These are the steps taken by him, children. First of all, tackling rebellious nobles. How? To eliminate any challenge to his position, Alauddin took the following measures. He either killed or blinded the heirs of Jalaluddin. He banned socializing among the nobles to prevent them from conspiring against him. The nobles were not allowed to enter into marital relation. The nobles were not allowed to maintain armies also. Okay, and the second step taken by him was the military expedition. What is it, children? To expand his empire, Alauddin launched various military expeditions and annexed Gujarat, Malwa, Ujjain, Mandudhar, Chanderi, etc. Okay, the attack on Chittor, a Rajput kingdom, is counted among his ruthless expeditions. Now we will talk about Deccan expedition. Alauddin became the first sultan to cross the Vindhyas and defeat the South Indian rulers like the Kakatiyas, the Pandyas and others. Earlier, no Muslim ruler dared to attack the Deccan kingdoms because of their rugged terrain and long distance from Delhi. Malik Kafur, who rose from a slave to become a general in Alauddin's army, played a significant role in the Khalji's victories in the Deccan, which yielded enormous wealth for Alauddin. Now, children, strengthening the army. Alauddin spent a part of the wealth collected from his conquest in South India to organize a standing army. You will study in details. It is already been given in your book on page number 31. You will go through it once, children. It is given in detail there. Now, fighting with Mongols. One benefit of keeping a standing army was the Alauddin was able to repulse the Mongol attacks that occurred during his rule. He also strengthened the forts along the route taken by the Mongol invaders. To instill fear in the minds of Mongols, their captured leaders were trampled under the feet of elephants. All these steps discouraged the Mongols from launching more attacks in India during Alauddin's rule. And now, the last and the most important, revenue and the market reforms. Alauddin was inclined to the welfare of the common people. He introduced the following revenue and market reforms to benefit the common man and to curtail the growing power of the rich class. What did it, children, see? Land was measured and assessed for tax according to its fertility. Second, Alauddin set up separate markets for buying and selling food grains, clothes, animals and slaves. He initiated price control by fixing the prices of essential commodities to prevent overcharging by shopkeepers. He appointed market officers to ensure that the traders strictly followed the official prices and did not cheat the customers by selling underweight commodities. This is all for today, children. Have a nice day. Thank you.